In a quiet mountain village, nestled where mist draped stone houses like a soft shawl, lived Lila, a weaver whose hands moved with thread as if whispering to it. Her workshop, a small room with wooden beams, hummed with the gentle clack of her loom, a rhythm as steady as the valley's heartbeat. Her blankets wrapped families in warmth, her scarves held the glow of hearth fires. Yet Lila's heart was heavy, tangled in worries like threads knotted too tight. Each snapped strand, each late wool delivery, each rumor of a slow market pressed on her, heavy as river stones. At night her mind spun faster than her shuttle, weaving fears of hungry children, a leaking roof, a life unraveled. As dawn brushed the mountains with soft pinks, Lila sat at her loom, her fingers unsteady. A thread snapped, the fourth that week, and her breath caught. "Why does everything break?" she murmured, her voice a frayed edge. She saw her customers turning away, her son's thin face, her daughter's patched dress. The weight of it pressed her chest, making each breath a labor. She pushed the loom aside and stepped outside, the cool air a fleeting relief. The village stirred, goats bleated, chimney smoke curled, but Lila felt alone, her worries a shadow no sun could lift. By the village well, an old woman sat, her silver hair catching the light like moonlight on water. Her patched cloak was simple, her eyes warm, like embers glowing in a quiet fire. Lila knew her as Mara, a wanderer who traded herbs for cloth, always with a kind word. Today Mara looked up, her gaze steady. "You carry a storm, weaver," she said, her voice soft as moss. "What troubles you?" Lila paused, her fears spilling like loose threads. The loom breaks, the wool's late, the market's quiet. I work so hard, but it's never enough. I'm afraid I'll lose it all, my home, my children's smiles. Her words trembled, unraveling in the morning air. Mara nodded, her eyes never leaving Lila's. "You hold too much that isn't yours to carry. Come to my fire tonight. I'll share a story to lighten your weave." Lila, drawn to Mara's calm like a moth to a flame, nodded. That evening, she left her loom, its silence loud, and walked to Mara's cottage. The fire crackled, sage scented the air, and Mara's voice began, slow and warm, like a lullaby for the heart. "There was a man," Mara said, "named Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic who faced wars and loss, yet slept soundly. He said, 'You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.' You can't control the rain, Lila, or the market's whims, or a thread's snap, but you can control your hands, your heart, your choices. Focus there and let the rest drift like leaves on a stream." She handed Lila a smooth stone, cool and round, fitting perfectly in her palm. "Hold this when worry comes. Ask, 'Can I change this?' If not, let it pass." Lila turned the stone, its weight grounding her. Could it be so simple? Mara's voice wove on, telling of Stoics who faced storms with steady hearts, who saw life as a loom where only their effort mattered. "You can't stop the rain," Mara said, But you can tend the soil, plant the seeds, and be ready when it falls. That's your power. Lila listened, the fire's glow softening her fears, its warmth sinking into her bones. That night, Lila lay in bed, the stone under her pillow. Her mind flickered to the late wool, the broken thread. But she whispered, I can't control the rain, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion. The words felt like a thread pulled taut, steadying her. Sleep came, fitful but softer, like a dream half remembered. The stone's cool touch lingered, a promise of calm. Days passed, and Lila returned to Mara's fire, each story a new thread in her understanding. Mara spoke of Stoic practices, pausing to breathe, questioning fears, focusing on what's near. When worry comes, Mara said, ask what you can do now. Weave one thread at a time. Lila tried this. When a customer haggled harshly, she held the stone, breathed, and thought, I can't control their words, but I can weave well. Her hands moved smoother, her heart less tangled. One morning, a storm loomed, clouds heavy over the mountains. Lila's old fear rose. Late wool, ruined plans. But she held the stone, its coolness a quiet friend. I can't control the rain, she whispered, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion. She sorted her threads, mended her loom, and wove what she could. The panic didn't grip her as before. Her breaths were slow, her focus sharp, like a needle threading cleanly. Mara watched, her eyes warm but keen. You're learning, she said one evening, handing Lila a cup of chamomile tea, its steam curling like mist. But Stoicism is more than letting go. It's choosing what to hold. Lila frowned, unsure, the tea's warmth spreading through her. She'd begun to loosen worry's grip, but something in Mara's words hinted at a deeper lesson, one waiting beyond the fire's glow. As Lila walked home, the village was quiet, stars peeking through clouds. She felt lighter, but a question stirred. Was letting go enough? Her loom waited, its rhythm a soft call, and she sensed the threads of her life shifting. The stone in her pocket was a reminder, but Mara's words about choosing what to hold echoed, like a distant song. Sleep beckoned, and as Lila drifted off, she whispered again, I can't control the rain, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion. The words wove into her dreams, steady and warm, guiding her toward a peace not yet complete. Lila's workshop hummed softly. The looms clack a gentle pulse in the mountain village where mist hugged the stone houses. Weeks had passed since Mara's first lesson, and Lila's hands moved with a new steadiness, threading wool as if guided by the calm she was learning to weave into her heart. The stone Mara gave her, smooth and cool, stayed in her pocket, a quiet companion. When worries rose, late wool, a cracked shuttle, whispers of a slow market, she held it, asking, Can I change this? If the answer was no, she let the fear drift, like leaves on the stream outside her window. Her chest felt lighter, her breaths deeper, as if the air itself carried less weight. Each evening, Lila walked to Mara's cottage, where the fire glowed like a warm heart, and sage scented the air. Mara's voice, slow and soothing, wove stories of Stoic sages who faced chaos with unshaken minds. One night, as embers crackled, Mara shared words from Epictetus, a Stoic who knew hardship. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Lila listened, her fingers tracing the stone. You can't control the market or the rain, Mara said, but you can control your effort, your kindness, your weave. Focus there, and peace will follow. Lila took these words into her days. When a storm delayed her wool, she didn't pace or curse the clouds. She sorted her threads, cleaned her loom, and wove with what she had, whispering, I can't control the rain, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion. The words settled her, like a shuttle finding its path. The wool arrived late, but her calm held, and her fabrics were as soft as ever, as if her steady heart had kissed each strand. One morning, a merchant arrived, his cloak heavy with mountain dust. He wanted a blanket, large and intricate, in half the usual time. Lila's old panic flickered. Failure could tarnish her name, leave her children hungry. She held the stone, its coolness grounding her, and thought, I can't control his demands, but I can weave my best. She worked steadily, not frantically, her hands dancing with the loom's rhythm. When the merchant returned, he grumbled at the simpler design, but paid, his coins clinking softly. Lila smiled, a quiet pride warming her. She had done what she could, and that was enough. Mara noticed the change. You're weaving peace, she said one evening, stirring soup that smelled of thyme and comfort. You've learned to let go of what's not yours. Lila nodded, sipping the warm broth, its taste like a hug. She told Mara of the merchant, of how she didn't let his complaints sting. Mara's eyes glowed, but she added, Peace is a strong thread, but it's not the whole cloth. Keep weaving. Lila tilted her head, sensing a deeper lesson, but the fire's warmth pulled her thoughts to softer edges. At the market, Lila's calm drew eyes. Neighbors whispered, She's different, steadier. Her scarves sold slowly, but she didn't fret. She smiled, helped a neighbor carry baskets, and wove on. When her son, Tom, spilled dye on a cloth, she didn't snap. She cleaned it, saying, I can't control spills, but I can mend what's here. Tom hugged her, his small arms a fleeting warmth, but Lila's focus stayed on her work, her heart wrapped in the stone's cool lesson. That night, Lila lay in bed, the stone under her pillow, its weight a quiet anchor. She whispered, I can't control the rain, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion. Sleep came easier, her dreams soft, like wool carded smooth, but as days passed, her calm grew heavy, like a blanket too tightly woven. She stopped lingering at the market's chatter, stopped noticing Tom's grin or her daughter Ida's songs. Her workshop was peaceful, her fabrics flawless, but her world felt muted, like a sky without color. Mara watched, her warm eyes narrowing, as if seeing a knot in Lila's weave. One evening, she handed Lila a loaf of bread, still warm from the oven. Taste it, she said. Lila bit, the crust crisp, the inside soft, but she barely savored it, her mind on her loom. Mara's voice softened, sharp with care. You've let go of worry, Lila, but what else are you letting slip? Lila frowned, the bread's warmth lingering in her hands. She thought of Ida's songs, unheard, and Tom's grin, unseen. Her calm was strong, but it felt like a wall, keeping out more than just pain. Lila walked home under a starlit sky, the village quiet, the air cool. The stone in her pocket was a friend, but Mara's words stirred a question. Was her peace too still? Her loom waited, its rhythm a gentle call, but her heart felt like a cloth stretched too taut, missing something vital. As she drifted to sleep, she whispered, I can't control the rain, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion. The words held her, but a new thread was forming, one Mara would soon. Lila's workshop was a quiet sanctuary, its wooden beams bathed in the soft light of the mountain village, where mist wove through stone houses like a gentle dream. The loom's clack was a steady whisper, a rhythm that matched the slow pulse of the valley. Her blankets held the warmth of summer meadows, her scarves the glow of twilight fires. But Lila's heart, once tangled with worry, had grown still, too still. The stone Mara gave her, smooth and cool, stayed in her pocket, a faithful guide. When fears flickered, a neighbor's sharp words, a delayed wool shipment, a creak in her loom, she held it, asking, Can I change this? If not, she let the thought slip away, like mist dissolving in dawn's light. Her peace was strong, but it cast a shadow, dimming the colors of her world. Her days settled into a tight weave, each moment precise, like threads laid without flaw. Lila woke, wove, ate, slept, her life a pattern as even as her cloth. When a neighbor whispered that her scarves were too plain, she thought, I can't control their tongues, and let the words drift. When her children, Tam and Ida, bickered over a wooden toy, she spoke calmly, her eyes on her loom, saying, I can't control their fights, but I can weave. Her workshop was serene, her fabrics perfect, but her laughter had faded, her smiles thin, like moonlight veiled by clouds. The village noticed. Lila was steady but distant, as if her heart had wrapped itself too tightly in calm. One bright afternoon, Ida burst into the workshop, her small hands clutching a daisy chain, its petals white and hopeful. Mama, look, I made this for you, she said, her eyes shining like the stream outside. Lila nodded, her fingers barely pausing on the loom. She set the chain on her table, its flowers bright against the wood, and returned to her weaving. Ida's smile faltered, her skip slowing as she left, but Lila didn't see, her mind anchored in the stone's cool lesson. The loom's rhythm held her, steady and solitary, like a river flowing without ripples. At the village festival, when lanterns glowed like fireflies and music wove through the air, Lila stayed home. Crowds don't matter, she thought. My work does. The clack of her loom filled the evening, a song without melody. Outside, children laughed, and neighbors danced under starlight, but Lila wove alone, her world narrowing to the threads before her. The stone in her pocket was her guide, but its weight felt heavier. Mara came one evening, her silver hair catching the fire's glow in her cottage, where the air smelled of sage and warm bread. She carried a basket, its apples red and sun-warmed, their scent a quiet promise. "You've learned well, Lila," she said, her voice soft but sharp, like a needle threading cleanly. "You've let go of worry's grip. But what else have you let slip?" Lila frowned, her fingers tracing the stone's smooth edge. "I'm at peace," she said. "Nothing troubles me now." Mara handed her an apple, its skin warm in her hand. "Taste it," she said, her eyes like embers, steady and searching. Lila bit, the sweetness sharp and bright, like a memory stirring from sleep. It startled her, a spark in her muted world. Mara's gaze held hers, warm but firm. "You've stopped tasting life," she said. "Stoicism isn't about feeling nothing. It's about choosing what to feel." She quoted Seneca, a Stoic whose words carried time's gentle weight. "Life is like a play. It's not the length, but the excellence of the acting that matters. Choose your part wisely. Joy is as much yours as sorrow." Lila's chest tightened, the apple's taste lingering, like a song she'd forgotten how to sing. Mara told a story of a Stoic sage who lost his fields to fire, but laughed with friends at a harvest feast, knowing joy needed sorrow to shine like stars against a dark sky. "You've woven out pain," Mara said, "but you're letting joy unravel. Hold it, or your heart will starve." Lila thought of Etta's daisy chain, now wilted on her hable, its petals dry as forgotten promises. She thought of Tam's grin as he chased a goat, unseen by her steady eyes. Her calm was a strong thread, but it wove a cloth too plain, missing the warmth of color. The next day, Lila wove slowly, her eyes drifting to the daisy chain, its fragile petals crumbling under her touch. A pang stirred, not worry, but loss, like a note played out of tune. At the market, she passed neighbors laughing, their voices bright as the baskets of apples they carried. She kept walking, her focus on her loom, but a child dropped a loaf of bread and Lila knelt to help, her hands quick, but her heart distant. The child's smile was warm, but Lila only nodded, the stone in her pocket whispering of control, not connection. Mara met her by the well, her patched cloak soft in the evening light, her eyes sharp with care. "You've learned to let go," she said. "But life isn't just letting go. It's choosing what to hold." Ida's smile, Tam's laugh, and Apple's sweetness, they're fleeting like sorrow, but they make the cloth whole. Lila's throat tightened, her fingers clutching the stone. She wanted to feel Ida's hug, the market's hum, the warmth of shared bread, but feared it would unravel her peace. Mara's voice softened, a lullaby's cadence. "The Stoics teach balance, Lila. You're halfway there." Lila walked home under a twilight sky, the village settling, stars peeking through mist. Her loom waited, its rhythm a quiet call, but her heart stirred, like a pond rippled by a single pebble. She'd mastered letting go, but Mara's words wove a new thread. Choose what to hold. As she lay in bed, the stone under her pillow, she whispered, "I can't control the rain, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion." Sleep drifted in slow and warm, but a question lingered, like a thread half woven. Mara's final lesson waited, a promise to tie joy and sorrow into a stronger, brighter cloth. Lila woke to the soft hum of the mountain village, where mist draped the stone houses like a gentle veil. Her workshop glowed with morning light, the loom's wooden frame steady, its threads waiting like a quiet promise. The stone in her pocket, cool and smooth, had taught her to let go of worries. Late wool, sharp words, storms beyond her reach. But Mara's words lingered like a half-woven pattern. Peace wasn't enough without joy. Lila's heart, once heavy with fear, then still with calm, now stirred with a new longing to weave a life that held both strength and warmth, like a blanket soft yet enduring. She walked to Mara's cottage, where the fire crackled, its embers glowing like stars in a fading sky. The air smelled of sage and warm bread, a scent that wrapped Lila like a hug. "Teach me," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I want my peace, but I want joy too." Ida's laugh, Tom's grin, the village's songs. How do I hold them without losing my calm? Mara's eyes, warm as the fire, sparkled. "Stoicism isn't a wall, Lila," she said. "It's a loom. You let pain pass through, but joy, you weave it in, knowing it needs sorrow to shine." Mara handed Lila a new stone, warmed by the fire, its heat like a pulse in her palm. "This is for balance," she said. "Hold it when you feel joy, and remember it's fleeting, like sadness. That's what makes it precious." She quoted Marcus Aurelius, his words a gentle anchor. "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. A peace, but do so with all your heart." Lila listened, the stone's warmth sinking into her, a reminder to embrace what was hers to hold. Love, laughter, a flower's scent, without clinging to what must fade. Mara led Lila to the village square, where children played, their voices bright as the clink of market coins. Ida skipped with a friend, her laughter like a bell in the mist. Lila hesitated, her old calm urging her to turn away, to focus on her loom. But the warm stone pressed against her hand, and she knelt, joining Ida to weave a daisy chain. The petals were soft, their scent sweet, and when the chain broke, Lila laughed, the sound light and free. Ida's eyes widened, her smile a mirror of Lila's joy. The moment was small, but it glowed, made brighter by the memory of wilted petals. Mara nodded, her silver hair catching the sun. "You're learning," she said. "Joy and sorrow are threads in the same cloth. One needs the other like warp and weft in your loom. Let sadness teach you joy's worth, like night shows you the stars." Lila's heart lifted, the warm stone a quiet guide. She saw it now. Her calm had been a shield, but it could be a frame, holding both strength and softness. She walked home, the village alive with small wonders. A neighbor's wave, the smell of fresh bread, Tam's shout as he chased a goat. Each was a thread, fleeting, but hers to weave. Days turned to weeks, and Lila's life found a new rhythm, like a loom dancing in balance. When a storm delayed her wool, she wove with what she had, her hands steady, her heart calm but not cold. I can't control the rain, she thought, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion. When Tam brought her a pebble shiny from the stream, she tucked it beside the stones in her pocket and hugged him tight, his warmth a joy she chose to hold. At the market she laughed with neighbors even when sales were slow, their voices weaving a pattern as rich as her cloth. One day a customer grumbled, "Your scarves are too plain." Lila smiled, her voice soft but sure. "Maybe, but they keep you warm." The customer blinked, then chuckled, a shared moment, like a spark in the cold. Lila felt a quiet triumph, not in the sale, but in her heart's balance, letting go of the complaint, holding on to the laughter. That evening she wove a blanket, its blues and gold soft as the village twilight, each thread a choice to embrace life's light and shadow. Mara visited one night, sitting by Lila's loom as the fire glowed in her workshop. "You've woven well," she said, her voice a lullaby's cadence. "Pain doesn't rule you, but joy doesn't slip away." Lila nodded, her fingers tracing the blanket's weave. "Joy needs sadness," she said, "like this cloth needs tension to hold strong." Mara chuckled, a sound like a warm breeze. "Exactly. You're a stoic now, Lila, but one with a full heart." She handed Lila a small loaf, its crust crisp, its scent a promise of comfort. "Keep weaving," she said, "and sleep well." Lila walked Mara to the door, the village quiet under a starlit sky. The mist curled softly, the air cool but kind. She returned to her loom, its rhythm a gentle song, and finished the blanket, its colors glowing in the firelight. As she lay in bed, the two stones, cool and warm, rested by her pillow, their weight a balance of lessons learned. She heard Ada's soft breathing, Tam's quiet snore, the wind whispering outside. Her heart was full but light, woven from both joy and sorrow, like a cloth strong enough to hold a life. She whispered, "I can't control the rain, but I can tend the soil and seed for when it falls, setting life in motion." The words wrapped around her, steady and warm, a mantra that carried her into sleep. Her dreams were soft, threads dancing under starlight, each one bright with the tension of joy and sadness woven together. The loom of her life was balanced, its pattern complete, and as sleep deepened, Lila rested, her heart a tapestry of peace, ready for whatever threads the morning brought.